Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fallen London. In this episode we are going to be having a look at the exceptional story for December. Other than the fact that it's called Daylight, I don't really know much about it because I'm going into this blind. I'm going to say there's going to be a spoiler warning here. If you want to do this yourself, go ahead. But if you want to do it with me, please stick around and stay for the ride. I'm sure it will be fun. But so we're going to start off here, and there is something before it, but I clicked it before I knew I was going to do a video on it, so it'll be fine. A novelty drinking establishment has opened in Spite. Inside, its patrons drink in complete darkness. As you approach, a velvet voice calls from the gloom. "No lights, please, ma'am. We'll be glad of it when you've tried our wares." Once inside, you feel your way to the bar and hear glass being placed on a countertop. "Pick a bottle and I'll pour a sample," says the bartending voice in the dark. So here we have three choices. I should probably give some background to my character in Fallen London, but it might not matter, so we'll see as it goes on. You can see my stats and things on the side of the screen there. She's a very dangerous, watchful lady. She sides with the constables more than the revolutionaries, but I don't know how that will factor into this. So we have three choices. Select the skull-shaped bottle. Under your hands, the bottle on the left is shaped like a skull and has the texture like porcelain. "Mortician's draft," whispers the bartending voice. "The glass shoe." Feeling the center bottle, it's shaped like a shoe with a stopper in the toe. The voice laughs. A kick in the teeth, maybe. Select the bottle shaped like a torso. The rightmost bottle feels shaped like a torso, devoid of head and arms. "Liquid muse for inspiration," says the hidden bartender. So, which one do I want to choose? I am tempted for the torso, because the skull's a little in your face, no pun intended. Shoe! So we're going to go with the torso, I think. The bottle opening makes a low pop, and the pouring is thick and vicious. A tall glass is placed directly into your hand. The drink is warm and languid on the tongue, and is undoubtedly cut with prisoner's honey. You don't see the room fill with leafy branches, but you know they are there. A quiet sobbing of another patron becomes the creaking of heavy burrs. Somewhere in the canopy something is searching. You retreat further into the darkness. Eventually a firm hand helps you up and into the street, leaving the forest behind. Visit the Season of Hobbies to unlock this exceptional story. And we gain 20 drops of prisoner's honey. Wonderful. We've been pointed to the Season of Hobbies. The unsettling toy maker opens a new toy shop in Elderwick. The opening is well attended, but customers swiftly exit the shop, covering their children's eyes as they flee. Bohemians, journalists, and other ghouls begin to frequent the shop, to the mystification of the toy maker. "Is there something wrong with my toys?" he wonders aloud, holding up a stuffed goat demon. "If anyone could help me improve, I'd be in their debt." Oh, before we start the exceptional story, let's have a look at the toy maker's wares. Why not? There are several toy gnomon available for purchase. Like the real thing, they rapidly disintegrate. The unsettling toy maker believes this will teach children a valuable lesson. Ministry officials enter the shop, intent on confiscating all of the French revolutionary chess sets for the public good. Gained one tale of terror. Oh, let's unlock Daylight. You've unlocked the exceptional story. It begins with the dark bar, available anywhere in London. I am going into this completely blind. There are probably correct choices and incorrect choices. I don't really do that kind of thing. So, here we go. The novelty bar in Spite, where people drink in complete darkness, has started to attract a small but regular clientele. You head inside and find a seat with your hands. You hear the smile in the barman's voice as he welcomes you. When you order a drink, a scoff from the dark lets you know you're drinking with company. "You don't seem like the type for a place like this," your companion mutters. So we have two options. We can either ask what he means. How does he know what type you are anyway? It's pitch dark in here. Or we can offer a rebuttal. You belong here as much as the next Londoner. Everyone has their reasons. I'm gonna be like, what do you mean? Your companion's voice is freshly rough, and it cracks as he speaks. I mean that you've still got hope. I can hear it in your voice. This place is for folks who can't bear to see the world no more, for folks whose spark has gone out. And we've met a voice in the dark. Your companion's breath sounds ragged and tight. He tries to explain himself between long sips from his beverage. At first, the tale of lost love is halting, but aided by liquor, it quickly becomes a torrent of mourning. He grieves for his inspiring imaginer, stolen away from him by forces unknown. This is the grieving zailor. Almost said sailor. Oof. That's about the inspiring imaginator. What absence could break a sturdy zailor like this? Ask about the mysterious disappearance. Let's start here. The sailor's voice is hollow as they regale you with tales of the imaginator's beauty, now lost to them. They tell of wild nights of painting, singing and dance. They were trying to make their name as a painter. He laughs. They were a terrible painter, but their heart was in it, and what a heart. Plus, the little reference models they made weren't half bad. The story continues. The memory is tinged by loss. Without the imaginator to return to, the zailor hasn't the heart to go back to Z. They worry that if they did, they'd not try to return at all. Let's ask about the mysterious disappearance. No note or explanation. The zailor's voice turns bitter, and he talks of the disappearance. After months of talk of a great opportunity and exciting new collaborations, the imaginator vanished completely. He tells you of the day he returned from the Z and found the imaginator's apartment on Ladybones Road empty. No sign of a struggle, no note or explanation. The zailor describes frantically searching the home and the imaginator's usual haunts in Vale Garden and Spite, to no avail. That's how I found this place, searching the streets they grew up in. I needed a quiet place for a drink. We've heard details of the zailor's lost love. And we need to help him go home. The barman announces closing and asks you to do something about your new friend. Would you please escort this man out of the bar? He is drunk. Stumbling home. He stumbles on the way out and leans on you for support. In the lamplight outside, his face is puffy from tears and ruddy from drink. A young man in his prime, aged by grief. You escort him to his fishing boat back at the docks. It is doubling as his lodgings for now. Search for clues about the whereabouts of the inspiring imaginator in Ladybones Road, Vale Garden and Spite. Okay, so it looks like we need to go to Ladybones Road, Vale Garden and the Spite, which I am not in right now. So let's go to Ladybones Road first, which is that one. Here it is, the illuminated apartment right at the top. The apartment on Ladybones Road is lit from inside, as if the owner has only just left. When you approach to try the front door, you find it unlocked. It swings open to reveal a scene of chaos. The whitewashed walls have been covered in colourful illustrations and calligraphy. The stained glass lamps, recycled bark hue furniture and elaborate paintings are all askew and covered in papers. It seems someone has already carried out a search of the house. Search through the papers. Most of the papers are centered around an ink-stained writing desk. Most of the notes are idle fantasies of surface life and honey-smudged mushings on how times are like places and what the differences are between boxes and bags. Others are flowery poems espousing their love for the grieving zailor. A diary on the desk, however, provides some details on the imaginator's comings and goings. Most of the records are chaotic and unstructured. On Fridays, however, they have a standing appointment with a business partner at the Glistening Crystal, an establishment in Vale Garden. You've searched papers in the Inspiring Imaginator's apartment. So let's have a look at the paintings. Some are hung on the walls, some still sit half-finished on easels. The finished oil paintings are framed and hung. They are fantastical cities, sculptural monuments erupting from vast forests and jungles, and lakes and oceans populated by huge ships and sea monsters. All of the vistas are sunlit and sparkling. The works on easels depict more intimate scenes. Elaborately costumed people and tigers sit or lie regally in the dappled sunlight of forest settings. The figures are consistently framed by fractal forms, by fanning branches or fingers spread from behind them. Three Maniac's Prayers. And then we can get a picture of the Imaginator. Sat upon a shelf is a picture of the Inspiring Imaginator, with the grieving zailor properly posed but smiling broadly. A picture of a brighter time. The picture shows the zailor and the Imaginator from a time when they were both full of mirth. It is front and centre on the shelf and hasn't been touched in the ransacking of the apartment. And now we found all three of the things, we can move to the next. You turn out the gas lights and close the door firmly behind you. There may be other leads in other neighbourhoods. So we can go to Vale Garden and Spite. To Vale Garden, I guess. Or Spite. Oh, we'll go to Vale Garden. The Glistening Crystal. The establishment is a honey den masquerading as an art gallery and salon. The place is filled with the tinkling of glasses and conversation. Several of the patrons are clearly honey-mazed, but the pleasantries carry on around them. The distant curator explains the work of enigmatic artists to potential buyers, while other bohemians play a party game over drinks. We can ask about the Inspiring Imaginator. They were a patron of this place once. What does staff and regulars know? The distant curator recognises the description. The Imaginator was a regular at the Crystal, keeping broad company and unpredictable hours. The exception was Friday mornings, where they would consistently take to a room by themselves for several hours. The distant curator idly wonders what might have happened to them, but ventures no hypothesis of their own. Yes, we're done in the Vale Garden. That was a very short one. So we go to the Spite, and here we will search. Spite is full of watchful eyes and information available for a price. The Inspiring Imaginator visited here occasionally. Show the picture of the Imaginator around. So because we have the picture, we have this option, but we could also use our watchful quality. Ask around the Inspiring Imaginator. The Zailor mentioned they grew up on the streets around Spite. It may be easier for me to just show the picture. You wander the streets seeking out canny and keen-eyed types, offering them a glimpse of the picture with your plea for information. No one, who isn't trying to con you, has seen them recently. Eventually though, there's a tiny voice. Look, look! That person has a picture of the architect from On Daylight. An adolescent rat is pulling on a taller rat's clothing and pointing your way. Chattering refugees. The rats are busy in conversation. They are tersely discussing several options for temporary accommodation. Their eyes are ringed with shadows and their speech is slow and frustrated. With them they carry a few maps and armfuls of canvas bags holding their worldly possessions. The adult rats look exhausted. The spring-haired adolescent was the one who noticed your picture. The little rat seems interested in your inquiries. We should probably ask this rat then. The precocious ratling recognises the picture. Where has she seen the Imaginator? She is excited to be engaged in something other than her mother's logistical disputes and happily starts on a winding tale. She saw the Inspiring Imaginator at their home on a place called Daylight, which the Imaginator built. She describes a cavalcade of the place's wonders, From its lakes to her secret treehouse in the woods, to the railway that ran around the island, she explains that the place was a paradise for her and the other rats that lived there, up until they had to flee. She drops her gaze to the ground. Why did they flee? Ask about their escape. One of the rats' mothers interrupts. There was a monster. It was stalking the place and sucking us dry. It almost got a hold of our youngest, she says, picking up the smallest rat and rocking him to sleep. The precocious ratling traces lines in the dirt with her paw as she mutters to herself, I wish we could have rescued Mr. Sock. Mr. Sock and I could have fought it, you know. Mr. Sock? Who could that be? So, we can either take the rat, so ask the precocious ratling to take you to daylight. You know someone with a boat to get you there. You'll leave London with a precocious ratling on a dangerous adventure. You will not be able to return to London for some time. Ask the adult rats for directions to daylight. They clearly have reams of maps between them. You will leave London without the precocious ratling. She will not be able to help you. You will not be able to return to London for some time. So, do I want to go this lone wolf, or do I want to take a little ratling? I just so happen to have a soft spot for rats in Fallen London, so I'm going to take the ratling. The Great Escape. You make the suggestion that the precocious ratling eyes light up. She looks to her mothers, who have returned to debating. She shoots them a barrage of questions. Her parents wearily agree to whatever is being asked. In an instant, she cheers and scoots away, dragging you with her. Over your shoulder you glimpse the other rats looking up sharply. One of them finally passes what's just happened and attempts to summon her child back by invoking her middle name. It is too late. She leads you to the dock. You'll need to cross the Z to get to daylight. We're pursuing the mystery of daylight. The zailor's fishing boat sits in the dock. He sleeps where you left him, with a rag over his face. Perhaps the imaginator spoke of daylight to him. He wakes abruptly and listens to what you've discovered. I'll be taking you to daylight, of course. He brooks no dissent. The grieving sailor is eager to depart.